everybody, welcome. Starfinder is back. We've been on break for like 3-4 weeks now.
3-ish, yeah.
3-4-ish weeks. So we're happy to be back. We were back with Kazir last week, and so that means we got this week, next week, and the next week of doing Starfinder episodes. As far as announcement goes, our next Starfinder will be on the 1st. Ideally the 1st of August, same time. We do have a Patreon if y'all want to support us that way. If you don't want to support us that way, totally fine. You could just tell your friends and anybody that you think would enjoy a sci-fi space show, or if it's using Starfinder, or if you think you have people that would enjoy a Dungeons and Dragons show, that's as Kazir, you can send them our way. We'd appreciate it always. With that,
there's a quarantine because of the pandemic, I mean, it's not like you're doing anything on Saturdays anyway.
That's true. At least you shouldn't be doing anything on Saturdays other than staying safe and sound in your home
and watching us on Twitch.
Yeah, right.
Watching me. That is what you must do.
Right. See, it's been a while since we've done like announcements and intros. I'm trying to think, am I forgetting anything?
I know. I feel like we should have a ton of announcements because we haven't announced anything in a while.
Oh, well, so I will say this. If you go to our website, inthedungeon.com, there is a new sign up thingy where you can put in your email address and first name. We're going to be launching some merchandise here soon. That's really, really cool. And it's just meant for people that really love awesome role play content. And I think you'll be really surprised and really interested in what that is. When it happens. If you're following us on social media, some of you have already seen some teases of what those are going to look like.
I want to make a strong bad joke right now since it's
well now you have to make a strong bad reference.
It's intothedungeon.com. It's .net.
No, so there's inthedungeon.com and intothedungeon.net. The .com wasn't available when I first did it, but then it became available and I jumped on it.
Sorry, I have to go clean my cat's nose off.
Oh.
The most important announcement of the day.
Why is your cat
perfect
snorting anything?
Well,
on that note.
I mean, I guess that cat was hitting the catnip really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, on that note, let's kick it to our dungeon master, Creed. Take it away.
All right. Well, I don't think you guys can see the map right now. That's perfectly fine. Well, thank you guys for joining us again. I don't have any announcements, but we should dive right into the recap because last session, I believe, was our first combat, and we had a little bit of a few character moments that were pretty great. And yeah, so I would like to offer 50 experience points to the person who would like to do the recap.
Tell you right now, it should not be me. I will make everything up. I've forgotten most things.
Didn't you watch us too?
Listen.
He watched it, he edited it,
everything.
Together, he confirmed it, he uploaded it.
It was 4 weeks ago.
All right, so we were in the second morning of faster than light travel out of Castrovel. When Rima woke up early to have some coffee. And she was thinking about that dream vision she had about an android at a bar where its head fell off. The top of its head fell off. Passenger walks in, and they had a great discussion about if androids dream of electronic sleep. I mean, if they have souls. Does this unit have a soul? Et cetera, et cetera. And Passenger then was like, great talk. And he walked away at that point. Went downstairs to the workshop. What's the nautical term? Not downstairs. He went below decks to the workshop to browse the cloned hard drive that he had copied off of Wretch, our client's PCU. When he did so, he activated an attack on the ship by gremlins. At the time, we didn't know if this was like a countermeasure, if this was, what was going on. But the gremlins attacked and a fight broke out. Cryptus came sprinting up the middle of the ship, and Jin DDoSed one of the gremlins with spam emails. It was awesome.
It was really clever combat from my players. It was great.
And the stakes were high because at the exact moment the gremlins became active, the entire ship lost power and immediately fell out of FTL and immediately came to a stop. And we were very scared about what might have been happening there. But we stopped the gremlins before they did anything else. Jin actually turned the firewall on just like reflexively, and it killed one of them.
Yes, you killed one that way.
So we all descended to operations. We were there. Passenger lost one of his PCUs that actually spawned another gremlin, but we were able to kill all of them. And we started figuring out what went wrong and what had happened and what we needed to do to repair everything. Jin ran forward to the bridge to scan the space that we had dropped out into, just to make sure we didn't drop out into, a black hole or the middle of a star or something terrible like that. And we just saw a little debris field off in the distance. So I set like a very leisurely pace towards the debris field, thinking, oh, we can hide in the debris field while we repair or whatever. With passengers' help, Cryptus started banging on the engines to make them work again, percussive maintenance, and determined that with passengers' actual help, he'd be able to have them back online within 12 to 18 hours. Wretch immediately was kind of suspicious about the gremlins, but with Rima's quick thinking of saying, oh yeah, I'm sure it was Cryptus looking at some disgusting Formian porn that he downloaded on Castrovel, Wretch paid her 300 credits to convince everyone that it was Cryptus's fault.
Important insert, Wretch had a terrible concussion from the ship falling out of FTL, which is how some of this worked.
He was dazed and confused, but he decided to go take a shower, and while he was showering, Jin in the galley in the supply where we had put his private box to like hide it, he was like, you know what, I gotta open this, I gotta see what's going on. So I opened the Faraday cage we had put the box in, and an obvious life sign monitor was going off, so I hacked into it to try to clone the info from the life sign monitor, and then I put it back in the Faraday cage. And as soon as I wrapped it back up, I hear a little alarm going off. So I run downstairs to the bathroom, sneak into the shower, Wretch is singing horribly, grab the PCU, sprint up to where the engineering room where Passenger and Cryptus are banging on the engines. And I'm like, Passenger, turn off the alarm real quick, thinking he needed to get into it or something, and he just, pressed the button, turn it off. Then I snuck back in and replaced the PCU without Wretch ever knowing. And then I was like, oh man, there's a mess in the larder. Everything fell around when the ship stopped. Might have bumped things. Trying to set up a deception in case he checked someone opened my box or whatever.
You sent me to go clean it up. Thank you for that.
That was a mistake, because while I went back to the bridge to realize that the debris field was an old sublight solar sail that had collided with an asteroid, Rima was in the galley trying to, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, clean up the mess, and when she was in there, she saw the android ghost on my ship in her face, and the ghost was like, open the door.
I'm glad you imagined that voice just like that. And that is where we left off. It is currently 6:30 in the morning. Space time. What are you guys doing? Jin, if I remember, you're in the operations. Passenger and Cryptus,
Bridge.
you're up in... Yes, the bridge, excuse me. Passenger and Cryptus, you're up in engineering. And Rima, as soon as she says that, you blink and she's gone.
I just look around and in a really creepy voice I say, what door?
Roll persuasion.
Stupid ghost.
Roll persuasion.
Paranormal investigator. Stupid ghosts.
Stupid ghosts.
Yeah, it's just it's old hat for you at this point.
What?
It said it's old hat. It's old hat for Rima at this point. She's just used to
Oh.
ghosts.
She's like, God damn, not again.
Is persuasion an actual thing?
Oh shoot, I gotta pull out my folio because I gotta remember
shoot.
these things.
You just need to
Diplomacy,
say,
maybe?
Excuse me. Use your diplomacy. It's not persuasion anymore. I've played 5e for too long.
I think that's a 13.
13? All right. You get no response.
Passenger would probably be making the rounds in engineering and working on getting the ship as functional as possible.
Okay. I believe you made your checks last game, so we don't need to make any rolls for that.
Cryptus, how's it coming over there?
You just hear banging and punching, and you're probably very concerned. You're like, I don't think ships are meant to be repaired in that way. You're like, we're working on it, passenger. Don't worry about me.
Right, I will.
Clang, bash, crunch.
Passenger, you're pretty used to this, and you're just having to tell yourself, just trust it, just trust it, just trust it, because every time it looks like it never works, it always does.
I'll never understand.
Captain Jin.
So actually, I had this thought between sessions, and I was like, oh, interesting, I can interact with this. Jin wants to kind of stare at this solar sailor and try to recall if he's ever heard a story of, like, any kind of spacer going to some planet, like Triaxis or whatever, and be like, hey, I found this probe that your people sent out, hundreds of years ago. Do you want it back? Can I get a reward? Like, something like that. Maybe.
Oh, so you're thinking of somebody who might want the scrap, or somebody that might want a historic artifact, or are you thinking
historic
of
artifact?
Got it. So
Culturally significant. Like if aliens came to Earth and said, hey, we found Voyager 2 with this shiny gold plate on it, you want it back?
I would say in order to know that, you'd have to make a culture check. If you, let's see, where did it go? Is there another? However, if you wanted to like sell it for scrap, I would say make an engineering check. The engineering check will be much easier to pass. Okay, you just made a roll. Where's my Starfinder? 10
on a culture.
You don't know anybody in particular, although you probably Idari was a big ship. You remember a few locations like on the ship where they had little valuables or things like that, little tiny small museums that could actually fit on a giant culture colony ship like that. You could probably try and sell it to one of those if this is something relevant, but you haven't really done a whole lot of investigation of what you're seeing. But a solar sail is definitely an ancient or old technology. You could probably sell it to somebody there, but you don't know anyone in particular.
I want to open a channel to engineering.
You do?
And as soon as I hear the clang, 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 oh, nope, turn off. All right. Passenger.
Yes, Captain.
When you get a second, come up to the bridge. I found something interesting in this debris field we're floating towards. Low priority.
Cryptus!
Why are there 5 screws? They're only meant to be. I only have 4. Oh god. Oh, the Hylax, help me. What's wrong, passenger?
Nothing. Never mind. It sounds like you have it under control, Captain. I'm on my way.
Great. What was that about the screws?
I'll double check it later. But as you know, Cryptus always gets it done.
Hey, passenger, what part of the ship are you in right now?
Making my way up from engineering.
So you're climbing down the ladder.
Take me off speaker. Private mode. Let me know if you hear where Wretch is on your way up. I want to know if he's doing anything odd.
So I'll Dungeon Master, I'll take a scenic route to the bridge and just just to see if I can ascertain Wretch's position.
So last we saw him, he was going back into the room he's sharing with Arima, right?
Yes.
And possibly going to die from going to sleep with a concussion.
Yep.
Possibly. So, passenger, you climb down the ladder onto the middle deck where everyone stays. And as you walk past the washroom into the door, I want you to make a deck save.
Okay, I can do
Is
that.
there water on the floor?
Yep.
No, that makes sense. That's reasonable. The deck save, you say, which is called what? A reflex save in Starfinder?
Reflex save. I've
Reflex.
played too much 5e.
All right, well, I have a miscellaneous mod of +2 to that, which gives me a -1 on the roll. No, excuse me, a 1 on the roll. A 1 on the roll.
+1.
+2 gives you -1.
No, +2 gives me just 1. I have a -1 on something else. That's a 14 on the roll, so 13.
Well, you notice the water. Your boot kind of slips a little. You catch yourself as the floor is soaking wet from a rat man walking through. Soaking wet rat man. And you're at Rima's door.
I'm gonna give it a listen. Let's just see if I can hear anything coming from the inside.
You hear it sounds like he's definitely using his phone, and it sounds like a game is being played. Like you hear little beeps and bobs and like good job and like a big explosion coming from what it sounds like a small speaker.
I'll ring his. I will have the common courtesy to ring his doorbell. Also, I'll hit the little button outside the door, make it chirp on the inside to let him know that someone is outside looking for him.
The sound stops. The door opens and you see a moist wretch who you're pretty sure didn't actually wash himself in the shower. He just kind of rinsed himself.
So he just smells.
Just let
like,
the water.
He just smells
he
like
just
wet
smells. He just smells like wet rat.
Oh.
That was his version of a shower. And he looks up and goes, "Hey, passenger."
Is he still naked?
He's wearing a towel on his head.
Yeah, you told him.
On his head?
On his head.
Wretch.
Yeah.
Would you please clean the floor?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anything for you. And he kind of like nudges your arm like with a little fist.
It takes his towel off.
Yeah. Good idea. Yeah, that's in character. I'll use that. He takes the towel off and he starts nakedly cleaning the floor.
I'll wait.
Well, so this goes on for a little while till he
Passenger,
maybe
what's-
about 5 minutes, and until he realizes that this towel he's using is so wet he can't possibly clean the floor. So then he goes into Rima's room and starts rummaging about the drawers and everything until he finds the towel.
Stop.
Hey, passenger, what's going on, man?
I'm about to engage in some percussive maintenance.
Oh, you're working on the engine still. Oh, gotcha.
What's the matter? He's got 2 towels, 2 perfectly clean towels that he's about to rub all over the floor.
They're just towels? They're not clothes?
They're definitely not clothes. He found towels.
Can just continue. How is your head?
How does it look? And he kind of turns and he has a small gash that's like welted, but the bleeding is stopped and it looks like it's going to heal.
1 second, let me see what I have here. I don't suppose I could use mending.
You could certainly try.
I'm not going to use mending on this guy. This gash in his brain. Repairing. When you take a hit, that's only one. Me. What do I have? I have a healing serum. Is there an equivalent to just a medicine check? Like if I just want to make sure it's bandaged well?
I think it has to be trained.
Oh,
but
there is. Okay, yeah, it's got to be trained. Yep. Okay. You should. Would I know who of our crew is done medicine stuff in the past? That would be Rima, right? Okay, that's what I thought. You should have Rima take a look at this. At the very least, to make sure it is cleaned and sutured.
I think I did before and like rolled really badly, and that's why we just didn't.
just like it looks fine.
Could be a concussion, might not be. Who knows?
Well, what are you doing?
Level 1. What am I doing?
Yes.
Oh, I was
Before you started cleaning.
I showered and then I had to attend to some business on my phone, and I was gonna get dressed in a little bit. Or on my PC, excuse me. It's not a phone. What are you doing?
Checking.
This is awkwardly quiet.
Yeah. I'm making sure you don't have a concussion. Please stay awake for us. Don't sleep.
For how long?
A few hours at best, just to make sure you don't, you get bumps on the head in space and abnormalities form.
Sure. Can I get dressed now?
Tell him no.
Please.
Thanks. And he just leaves the door open and he opens up a small little bag full of like his clothes and that you gave him, and he starts putting them on.
I go to close it, and then I start to watch for a second to see if he's putting on like the right combination of clothes. And then I realize I don't care, so I just hit the button and it just closes.
I'm gonna make a roll anyway. All right.
Because last time we saw him in the clothes I bought him, he had it all mismatched.
Yep, it was all wrong.
But I close it before I even have a chance to give my brain that much mental load to deal with. I'll hail the captain. Captain, I'm on my way.
Hey. Perfect. Remember, try to be sneaky. Like, don't interact with Reg. Just try to like listen out and hear where he is. Don't bother him. I don't want him to know we're like checking in on him.
Oh, I checked in on him.
Oh.
We cleaned the floor together. Well, I watched. He cleaned. He was also naked. I'm on my way.
Okay. I will quickly Google Android madness. Not Google. Oh, what do we have?
You have nothing right now. You're in the dead of space, bud.
I don't have like a cached version of the internet.
I mean, you could if you want the server, if you have the memory space.
The porn is stored somewhere, Patrick.
It's in the starship.
Oh no.
Upon arriving on the bridge, you said you found something interesting.
Hey, real quick, take the Turing test for me.
Wow. Rude.
Are you implying that something
No, all right,
wrong?
so check it out. We're approaching this debris field, right? It looks to me to be some kind of old sublight solar sailor crashed into an asteroid. Now I'm thinking that could be culturally worth something to someone. What do you think? Take a look.
Now, do we have this up on a view screen, or are we looking at sensors? How are we observing this?
You are looking at sensors.
Okay.
Steadily moving towards the debris.
Yeah, like you're within the debris field. Like you're detecting the debris further away, but you could probably get yourself close enough to just look out a window.
I'll use my engineering, or my computer skill, whichever you think is more relevant, to attempt to ascertain based on maybe the chemical and the composition of whatever the metals and alloys are to maybe see if I can determine where it's from or time frame, and also check for life signs if it's big enough for that kind of a thing.
Okay. Go ahead and make a computers check because you're going to have to use your ship's sensors. I do believe your ship has a +2 computer.
Okay. Natural 20.
Natural 20. Okay, so when you start, you guys kind of slow the ship down to kind of let the computer do its thing with as little interruption as possible. And you check for life signs first. Nothing. No life signs, period. Then you start trying to do a few scans, like, okay, what is this made of? Does it have shields? There's no shields. It seems to be made out of straight steel. And some of the components of a solar sail. So I don't actually know what they are off the top of my head. I'm not a,
Titanium, aluminum, mylar.
I'm glad somebody does know. I didn't realize I had to start digging into
Graphene.
Might need to keep a periodic table of elements over here.
Didn't know things like space if you're gonna play space.
Yeah, apparently.
Element 115.
Yep, element 115, 112. Yeah, so you're getting a lot of that. You do detect some gold for the electronics, of course. There are electronics aboard, but you do detect a small box within it that's made of several different alloys. You did a nat 20, and you're imagining, like, okay, well, most ships have a black box. It's probably the black box.
I'll relay that information to the captain. As I'm finding it, I'll kind of read it off. And Captain, I do believe there's one interesting piece of this craft. It looks like its data core is intact. Well, maybe not necessarily intact, but it's present at the very least.
And within this vessel as well, you do also detect a section of it, like a small portion of it, probably about 6 feet long and about 2 feet wide. It's like calcium. It's like calcified section.
Organically calcified?
Maybe not.
So we get 150 engineering, 150 society, and 150 physics points for opening that, right?
That's a Stellaris joke.
Interesting. Yeah, that could be the black box passenger. This might be worth checking out. We still need about 12 to 18 hours, right? Get the engines back on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, Cryptus seems to have it under control.
If you're working together, was
if
the
Cryptus and I it'd have to be the both of us, but we can hold down the ship while you and Rima go.
So as you say that, the public voice channel pops open, and Cryptus says, "If anybody needs a spare screw, I have one."
Box of spare screws?
Leave it on the workbench, Cryptus. I'll look at it.
Hey, Rima, you should join us in the bridge. I've got a proposition. How do you feel about going into space?
Rima's deaf, so unless you send a text,
we always forget
to text it. Hold on. What's a good emoji for EVA? Just like the astronaut, right? Passenger? I'll do all of them.
All right, so I guess you guys get that message.
Yeah, I hear my PCU.
You
I
do.
feel it vibrate. Shut up.
We all forget. That's the rule. That's the rule of this cast. We always forget. Rima's deaf.
So I feel it vibrate. I read all 50 texts, going through the emojis, and I send back, "Are you having a stroke? I'm on my way."
Captain, I'll return to engineering if you don't need anything else.
Yeah,
So
that
Rima,
might be best.
So Rima, you basically leave the galley?
I have probably finished cleaning up by now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do anything with that Faraday cage.
Okay.
That's been taken off. Wait, did the captain put it back on afterwards, or okay, yeah. So yeah, I've cleaned up. I don't know what door this stupid ghost is telling me to open, and they're not answering. So yeah, just go see the captain.
Once Rima gets there, so check it out. We've got a solar sailor. Looks to be an ancient sublight. Yep. Crashed with an asteroid. We don't even know how long ago. 2 points of interest worth checking out. The potential black box and some piece of calcified something. Could be worth money to someone.
Does anything look like a door?
I think that was a door.
Remember, the ship is pretty wrecked. You're just kind of scanning parts of it.
Nah, that one's already open. Okay. So you want to go get this stuff, Captain?
Yeah. There's nothing else to do. Passenger and Cryptus are fixing the engine. It'll take about 12 to 18 hours, so we got time.
Okay.
Rima? All right. So, I assume you guys are going to go put your EVA suits on.
Rima, how do you feel about doing this one on your own? Do you want me in there with you?
You're the captain. Up to you.
All right. I locked the room. I locked the door to the bridge on our way out. And then as we go through ops, I lock the door to ops. And we go get our EVA suits on.
All right. You both get your EVA suits on. You head to the airlock. And do you guys leave?
Do we have tethers?
Do you?
Do we?
Are you using tethers or are you using the EVA suit?
Oh?
Can we have the tethers as a safety line?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's have safety lines.
Yeah, I mean, this is a salvaging ship as well, so you guys probably have plenty of safety line. So you guys EVA out into the vacuum of space. You take a look around. There's very little light except what comes from the external lamps on the Jo Lynn. As you guys use the little EVA suits to kind of jettison yourself towards the broken part of the vessel, and Captain Jin, you're looking at your PCU and your ship is relaying information to it. You realize that the portions of the ship was broken into 2 sections. There's one side that has the calcified section in it, and the other side has that alloyed box. Rima, as you get closer to this vessel, you can see a language written on the outside in symbols. If you guys want to recognize those symbols, you may need a culture check. If you are, I think that has something you have to be trained in.
10.
18.
18. Unfortunately, both of those fail. You don't recognize the symbols at all. It doesn't even look like a language you would know, or a language. Yep, you can take photos of it, as Captain Jin is doing. But you have no idea what those are. It looks more like runes than an actual language. So, which one do you approach?
I speak, because I'm sure we've set this up so that the speech to text plays across Rima's visor like the chat in Star Citizen, and I'm just like, go for the box first.
All right, the box section is the portion of the ship that's still connected to the very torn up solar sail. So you guys see that the ship is kind of broken in half, and you can just go through the open broken half into that portion. So as you entered, it's very cylindrical, it's very tight corridor. And you walk in, you see what looks like a sort of rudimentary cockpit. Like the screens are like not holograms, they look like these big boxes with like a big heavy screen at the front. The controls look more analog than digital. But if the ship's correct, the black box will be underneath the seat, which it doesn't even look like an actual like seat that a person would sit in. It looks like kind of like this long bed that's been laid down. But it should be underneath the one on the left. There's no power to this vessel. There's no window either.
I guess we start pulling that seat up then.
Make an engineering check.
I cannot. I'm untrained.
I cannot.
So
We're just pulling.
I have no engineering insight into this situation. All I know is that it's here, and I'm trying to get to it. So I want to instead think to myself, okay, of all the ships I've piloted before, how have they been able to how have they set this up to try and remove these before? Like, do I think there's any kind of common thread of you always need to pull this lever first and then you can lift the whole thing up or whatever? Can I do something like that?
Do you have a piloting check? I'll set the DC a little bit higher because you as a pilot pretty much never have to access your black box because you have never died in a crash.
Yeah, but I read the
Yes.
manuals.
Yeah, go ahead and make a piloting check. It's going to be a high DC. All right, 25 was the DC, and you rolled a 26. So, it takes you a few minutes of fiddling with it, but you eventually get the seat up, and down below it looks, for you, it kind of looks like a car battery, but it's definitely solid, and it's got several locks on it to hold it in place. And you see all those same type of runes just all written around it.
I don't think it'll come out with those locks.
Does it look like just a twist lock or like something you need a key for?
It looks like something that you would need to twist it with, but it doesn't match like a Phillips head or a flathead, or any of the tools that you would normally use. This is something outside or from a different culture.
Take a picture, and I text it to passenger. How do you think we get this out?
Make a engineering check, and if you want to use Cryptus, I'll give you a +2. This is a very easy DC.
I feel like someone bumped into you as Cryptus looks over your shoulder. Oh, I can help you with that.
All right. So you said a +2 for Cryptus looking over the shoulder?
Hey, Rima, take a look around, see if there's anything else of interest in this part.
You said that was a +2 for Cryptus helping, right?
Yep.
Okay, so engineering is already +6. So this will be a +8 total. Oh, that's a 16.
16, yeah. If you can just use any coin that's thin enough to turn those. You probably get it in there and twist it.
I'd
And you can
relay
tell them
that.
that.
Yeah, you should be able to, if you have a coin or a flathead, something like that, you should be able to stick that into that groove and give it a twist.
While they're texting, I'm going to be looking around elsewhere in this half of the ship.
Go ahead and make a. Is it an investigation? I think.
Perception?
Yeah, let's do perception. I don't think they have investigation on here. What'd you roll?
12.
A 12? Ah. As you are just kind of floating there and rummaging about, you find something that you can kind of get your fingers behind, and you pull on it, and it opens up, and a whole lot of metal flies right into your mask. I need you to make a reflex save.
Rima, what happened?
5.
5. As it flies in your face, it hits you, and you see a small little scratch on the outside of your mask.
Yep, and I'm going back to the ship.
Yep.
I'll open
okay.
comms to the captain. Captain, did you leave the ship?
Yeah. I send him the rest of the pictures I've been taking, like some selfies, pictures of like just the whole thing.
They left. Is Rima with him?
Yeah, Rima's coming back. Rima, you good? What happened there?
Crack in my visor. Gotta go back.
It's a
neither of
scratch,
you are
not a crack.
watching-
Scratch, not a crack.
Well,
Different things.
It's hard to tell from the inside of this thing.
So who's watching the Yosoki?
So-
I locked all the important doors.
All right, so Rima,
I
as
remember-
you turn tail and run, you engage your EVA suit, and it hits, and that pressure from your EVA suit hits the metal, and it starts flying towards Captain Jin.
I would have
As you-
just been like pulling back on the tether.
Okay. Well, Captain Jin watches you do that, and he realizes that you found the toolbox as a bunch of tools that would help in this situation have been opened and are now floating around.
I grabbed something that's useful, and
And you get it, and you have the black box now.
perfect. All right, I'm coming back to the ship. I've got the black box. Passenger, meet us in the airlock to make sure Rima's EVA suit is still. What's the right word?
Serviceable.
Functioning. And we'll be there shortly.
On my way. Cryptus. Now, I must stress this because I apparently missed it earlier. But if you would mind strolling past Wretch's room, and just make sure he's still present, but don't engage with him. Just walk by. The pantomime has got me chuckling.
So, like stealthy, like quiet, like the captain does.
You don't have to be stealthy. Just don't buzz his door and talk to him or make him clean anything while he's naked. And as I say that, I leave and just leave him there.
Passenger goes down the ladder.
Griffiths kind of stands there in stunned silence for a moment before rolling over some of the metal that's all strewn about. He gets up and he tries to be quiet, and all of you still feel the thunder. Like slowly lifts a leg and puts it down. So there's like a lot more timing between the steps. Thunk.
That's
Thunk.
I can see the waves in the tether.
All right, so Cryptus, you go to the door. It's actually slightly open.
And I sort of peek in stealthily. Thunk.
You hear snoring.
Hope he's not. Okay, he's not dead. And I sort of thunk back to the engineering.
All right, so you get all the way back to engineering. You continue to work. Passenger, where were you headed?
I was headed to the airlock to receive Rima and to ensure that her visor is still serviceable.
All right, you get to the airlock near the escape pods, and up comes Rima, and you let her in.
Yes, I'll pull
And-
the door that would open it and pull her into that safe space before, depressurizing as you I'll make the telepathic link and... Rima, what happened? Muted.
Nothing happened.
Captain, Rima seems to have gone mute as well.
No. I got attacked by some ancient tools.
Oh.
It wasn't pretty, but I made it out. Is the visor super fucked, or how bad is this?
I'll let me see here. Do we have some sort of like multi-tool type device in our inventory? Is that a thing?
You have a workshop.
I guess I could do that. I was thinking like tricorder style and like even a little scan, but I don't see anything like that on my inventory. So
I mean,
I'll make sure. We'll take a look at it in the workshop. Where is the captain?
He's still out there.
you look through the tiny window of the airlock. See Captain Jin, 2 hands holding a box above his head, the other 2.
I telepathic link to the captain. Captain, you just carried that back. You didn't like connect it to your tool belt.
Yeah.
What if you had dropped it?
I was never gonna drop it. And then I start juggling, playing with it. 'Cause I got 4 arms.
Are you still on the ship, or have you come back?
I'm waiting for you to cycle the airlock.
I'll step into the chamber that does the decompression and just pull the lever so that it opens. With me just standing there, no suit.
Yeah, and passenger is perfectly fine. It's a little cold.
I push the box forward.
I help him with it.
How's her suit? Everything good there?
Hard to say with a cursory inspection, but we'll take a look at it in the shop later. Make sure it still functions.
I have a mind to go back over there.
Let's go.
Yeah, wait. There's no rush.
If you insist, Captain.
I come back aboard, and I'm gonna head to the workshop with them.
I'll head there.
All right. All right. Cryptus, anything in particular you're doing?
So as I thunk my way back, presumably, do I pass through the water area?
No, that's been cleaned.
Okay.
Sufficiently cleaned. Yeah.
Was cleaned by
passengers.
a naked Yosoki.
So as I'm making my way back, I don't remember if Rima cleaned up a lot of the wine, but Cryptus kind of gets a thought, and he like peeks his head into the cargo bay, just to look around and see how much damage was done when we flew out of FTL.
Now, Rima cleaned up the mess, but she didn't take the whole pallet and put it back where it was, because it was a pallet that was turned over.
So Cryptus kind of muttering under his breath, well, passenger won't stay in the engineering bay and fix the ship. I don't need to stay in the engineering bay and fix the ship either. So go into the cargo bay to see what's what.
All right. Well, you noticed that everything was tied down, so that's why most everything didn't happen. But this particular pallet, the loop that you tied it down to actually kind of snapped off. So if you wanted to, you could weld it back on there. But that's why this particular pallet fell.
I'll take a moment to fix it. I'm being passive aggressive about the captain calling passenger away constantly.
Oh, poor Cryptus. Rima, are you heading to the workshop, or you have other plans in mind?
I am going to go back to my room and grab I'm just gonna grab my cards.
Okay.
Check on the rat. If I see him sleeping, I'm gonna wake him up.
You do see him sleeping. He is wearing rather nice clothes for sleeping. The clothes that passenger bought him, but he then immediately went to sleep. You tap him and he wakes up. He goes, What? What do you want?
You want to play poker?
Yeah, let's play poker. And he like hobbles down and just kind of, oh, my head. Where are we playing? Right here?
No, the galley's got a table.
Oh yeah. And he goes up to play poker with you. All right, we'll come back to that. 2 guys at the workshop.
Captain,
As
let's take a look at
passenger-
this helmet here.
As you say that, 2 arms lift up the box and put it on the table next to the helmet. And then another arm comes around, and I'm like, all right, passenger, we got 3 things to check out. Of course, the helmet, but you might be very interested in this. And I kind of, I'm sure we have some kind of like hologram projectors or something in the
Oh yeah,
workshop.
it's your workshop.
So I plug into one of them, and I have it blow up the info, and I access the files that I copied from the life sign monitor.
All right.
I'm like, which do you want to look at first, passenger? Because I pulled this off of his box.
All right. So Justin the player understands, if you want to investigate the life science, it'll have to be either life science or medicine. The helmet's going to be engineering or physical science, and the black box is going to be engineering or computers.
Totally fixated on the crack or the scratch in the helmet. I'll start there.
You don't even respond to. I realize you're not even responding to the hologram. I'm like, oh. I close it. As he's doing that, I will investigate the life sign monitor.
All right.
Did you say it could be computers? What was the computer?
Not for this one, no, because you already did a computer check to get the information. This one will be either medicine or life science.
Okay, I will instead put that down on the table, and I'm going to start looking at the box.
Computers or engineering?
Computers. So I don't have engineering.
Passenger, as you look at the helmet, you know it's a superficial scratch. You probably don't want to leave it on there. You'll want to replace the glass or the covering. I don't know if it's actual glass, but it's probably like an alloy, a resin type to keep your face protected. So you definitely want to fix it. You don't want to leave it on there, just in case.
I assume, Dungeon Master, that the ship has at least 4 of these EVA suits.
Mm-hmm. And a few extras,
And a
just
few
in case
extras
you're
just in
damaged
case.
for repairs.
I see. Well, I would recommend to the captain that we maybe retire this helmet and use one of our spares, even though the crack is just superficial.
Well, you don't have spare helmets. You have spare parts to replace the more breakable parts of your suits. The things that usually need the most maintenance.
Up to and including a visor.
Yeah.
Okay.
You probably have some spare visors in a drawer.
I'll go and look inside the drawer and I'll see, yeah, I've got a few of these. Good. We'll take care of this later. Hopefully we don't...
Can I get just because I'm thinking of something, can I get a quick, what's the word? Can you just do a straight intelligence roll for me?
Sure. It's a 7 plus 2, so 9.
Okay, so I'm only doing this because I don't know if you remember, but you have spells that do a thing. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna cast Fireball. No. Earlier today I even asked about mending. I'll use mending on this. I'm gonna cast a spell. I'm gonna use mending. Mending is the cantrip. So I'm just gonna whoop and fix it.
All right, and Captain Jin is none the wiser as you fix it almost instantly.
Captain, did you want to take a look at the life signs next?
1 second, I'm finding something interesting. I think. 23 on my check.
Yes, you are finding something interesting. As you open it up, you take apart the lid and the casing about it. Weirdly enough, you realize this isn't a computer. You take a closer look at it. It's this big, round, black disc with like a little needle pointed straight on it. And it appears to be made out of vinyl. Captain Jin?
Passenger. What was it that those La Junta soldiers would play their music on in that one bar? There's something like this, right?
Yes, I do believe so. I believe they called it a giliophone.
Do you see anything that looks like controls on this? And I start like rotating the box around to see if I can figure out like if there are any controls or like anything to activate this device.
And as you spin it, it makes a sound. And it sounds like wind and some weird creature making a gurgling noise and some language you don't understand. It doesn't sound any intelligible language you've ever heard. It's definitely not a Lashuntan language.
I realized that it was the spinning the box probably spun the disc.
Mm-hmm.
So I very gingerly start pushing the disc.
And again, you hear that weird language. And you just, it sounds of like wind and water rushing and like a storm. It sounds like a storm. It sounds like something talking, some weird deep voiced creature.
Very interesting. We'll have to make a recording of this later, but I bet if we figure out what planet this came from, either they would want it back or someone else might be interested in this, but that's a mystery for another time. Yeah, let's take a look at these life signs.
Before we put away this particular box, I would probably be able to use my PCU to make the recording as it plays, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll do that. I'll go ahead and start creating the recording as we listen to this voice.
I do it very uniformly.
Good.
Like I don't change my speed.
After a few minutes, it starts to play what sounds like music at a very odd, non-rhythmic beat. Like it's a beat for a little bit, and then it slows down, speeds up at random intervals. Doesn't sound very good at all. But
the dubstep portion.
Yeah, it's almost like dubstep, but with like wind instruments and drums.
You know, Passenger, there might be a lot of data somehow encoded on this disk. We might need to rig up some kind of auto player. I don't think me spinning it manually will be able to access all of the information.
Definitely. Would you go ahead?
Once the ship is fixed, I'll have you work on that and figure that out.
Let's take a look at these life signs.
Very gingerly, like, put the lid back on, and I take the box and I find some space in the workshop that I can plug the box in and latch it in so it doesn't go anywhere.
While he's doing that, I'm gonna hit the personal comms unit. Cryptus.
What?
Did you were you able to find Wretch?
Yeah, he was fine. He was sleeping.
Oh, good. How's the engines coming?
You notice the distinct lack of clanging. He says, "Oh, you would know if you were up here with me."
Ooh.
That's why I'm asking.
Oh, they're coming along well. The two of us working together really cuts the time.
Good deal. I agree. I'll be back eventually.
And the link cuts, but you notice there's, again, you hear the stealthy thunking. It's not near the
Cryptus up
engineering bay, but it's going towards the engineering bay, stealthily.
Anyways, whoop, and I open up the life monitor file information.
Captain, I believe Cryptus is having a good time in engineering.
Good.
Let's see here.
This sass between characters is wonderful.
It was life science for this role, right?
Life science or medicine?
Life science, definitely.
Life science will have a lower DC, however.
Ah, well, that's what I have training in that, so that's what I shall do. Is that a 9 or a 6? That is a 9. So it is a 15.
15. Ooh, hits it right on the nose. That, it takes you a minute to kind of figure it out. You're like, wait a minute. This is like an EKG machine. This is brainwaves.
Captain, this... real fast, player. What are we looking at? We're just looking at scans? We're looking at the...
Like when you look at an EKG
This was
machine,
the-
it'll
the-
do the,
yeah, but this was the
the
thing that was
lines. They
on
go
the...
like this. When it's really active, it goes crazy. When it's not so active, it's kind of like really slow.
Right, but these were scans from the box that Wretch brought, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Captain, that box that Wretch brought on board is thinking. Or at least something inside of it is thinking. One of the two is true. Well, hard to say, but if you look at these squiggling lines here, these indicate thought patterns. These are brain readings. There's a life form in that box.
Fix the box again?
Probably about 2 feet long, maybe a foot width, and about a foot tall. Not very big.
How tall
It's not a big box.
would an Ahsoki fit in it?
Not comfortably.
Okay.
It'd be
It just wasn't
very,
very-
very. If it might actually injure them if they were shoved into space that small.
How many disconnected brains could fit in that box?
It's been 2 days, and he hasn't gone up to the galley. So if there's a creature in that box, he's not feeding it, he's not giving it water, he's not giving it sustenance. It could, before we jump to any strange conclusions, could the box be pre-recordings of EKG scans? Could it be connected to something elsewhere that's relaying that information there?
Could I make some sort of a check that would allow me to verify if it's old or current? If it's a live feed or a recording?
Is the information you have? Remind me, Captain Jen. Is the feed you have from that? Is this just like a snapshot of what you had when you looked at the box, or is this like you connected to the box and like are receiving its message from the?
No. I cloned all of the data that was on the monitor when I had connected to it.
All right, so you just, I'll give you a piece of information. You have at least a month's worth of like this information on there.
Passenger
That's it.
back for a month, according to this time scale. It could just have been connected to something on Castrovel.
We should probably investigate further. And quite frankly, if there's a life form on our ship that we're unaware of, perhaps it's time to talk to Wretch about what exactly he's gotten us into.
We have to know for sure.
I agree.
Before we go accusing anyone of anything, we have to know for sure. Because he already hit us with those gremlins once, and that was just what, a security measure or something?
Most likely.
I don't want to know what else he might be able to do to us.
So, all right. We'll stop there for just a second. Cryptus, I want to check in with you. What are you doing?
I have stealthily thunked my way towards the engineering bay and see that we have probably the original 2 days left since we're not really working that hard on the engineering. So I'll ping the captain. Oh, Ashley's brought her Yosoki. Stand in. Ping. Captain Jin, the work in engineering is taking longer than expected. You may want to send someone up here to assist. And you hear some lazy clanking, as if somebody is picking up and dropping.
Cryptus, do you make the lights flicker a little bit?
Hold on, I've got something for this.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Really, I have something. Oh, I know what I've got. Hold on. I respond. Yeah, and this is private. Actually, I don't say words. I just kind of text back to him. I'm just like, yeah, I figured passenger might have just been getting in the way. If your excellent engineering skills. A couple emojis, like a wrench, a cockroach, blah blah blah. I'm just like, I'm sure you can handle it. But it's the second that I can send passenger back up there, absolutely will. Emojis.
I want to do an opposed roll.
All right, so this is going to be, what is it, bluff versus, let's see. Yeah, bluff versus
Sense motive?
Yeah, I think
sense motive is correct.
I'm -2 on this, Captain.
26.
I'm still rolling.
Wait.
15.
Yeah, sorry, Cryptus, you believe it, man. You lost the roll.
So Cryptus looks kind of. None of y'all are there to obviously see it, but Cryptus seems kind of chuffed with himself. I agree with you, Captain. The android just gets in my way, and the banging starts to get more excited. And you hope that Cryptus doesn't damage the engine in his excitement.
And that's lights flicker.
And then the lights flicker. No, I will say with that captain's inspiration, you can probably get it done in about a day on your own.
There's something about the captain's role in spaceship combat that's like the captain stalls or threatens or something. Oh, I'm gonna do that.
That's how I'm gonna do this little role we had, since it was fun. So yes, you could probably get it done in about a day, Cryptus.
I'm banging aggressively. The sublight turns off briefly. Lights flicker occasionally, but y'all, Captain feels like the work is getting done.
All right, Rima. You have successfully cleaned him out of 2 rounds of poker.
Yeah, so as we're playing, I want to ask. I just want to, be talking to him and be like, so I bet you've seen a lot of crazy shit living in a war zone, huh?
I mean, staying there. I didn't live there for very long, though. I was only on Castrovel for a few months.
Yeah.
Had jobs to do. Had things to collect for buyers.
Where were you before?
Oh, where was I before?
And he rubs the gash on his head. He's like,
yeah, I was doing a lot of work on Akaton for a little while, and I was just a little message boy. I didn't really have any big breaks or nothing, but recently, I caught the eye of Valcott, and they sent me to Castrovel. They thought it was a suicide mission, but old Wretch can do it. So yeah, I did. I'm making my way back.
Why'd they think it was a suicide mission?
Because it's a war zone,
Oh, okay, yeah.
All the just getting on the planet and then leaving the planet is kind of an ordeal.
Are your family from Akaton?
My family's from a lot of places. No, I don't have much of a family, though, but I do know of them, genetic tests and all that. I never really met them.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's fine.
So, I feel like my cat's been stolen. So what's, other than, the war zone, what's the craziest shit you've ever seen? I know Akaton's pretty rough too, huh?
Oh, the craziest thing I ever saw. Well, being on Akaton, I see a lot of Shabad, and they, they're pretty tough. They're tough individuals, and a lot of them like to fight each other. That's, I don't know what happened to Captain Jin's screen there. It's just nothing but fur. But why do you ask? Why are you trying to find out my, war stories, as it were?
There's not much else to talk about.
Well, we can talk about how you cleaned me out of 50 credits. By the way, you earned 50 credits for playing poker against him. You are partly psionic. It gives you an advantage.
Awesome. Just making conversation. I mean,
Yep.
I've seen some shit too,
Oh?
Yeah. I see ghosts sometimes, man. You should ask Cryptus about it. It freaks him out, but,
You see ghosts?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
What's the last ghost you saw?
Hard to say.
Hey, how do you forget seeing a ghost?
Well, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're ghosts, sometimes they're not ghosts, sometimes they're other things. So, and a lot of time I just try to ignore it because it's freaky as shit, and I don't want to deal with that.
That's really confusing, but I get that last part. I understand.
Like dead people, they can't really do things for themselves, and sometimes they want you to do things like, open doors and shut windows and all that.
Odd. Okay, well, did you open whatever the door was?
Oh, that was just an example.
Oh. Well, forever on a planet and having a campfire, we should share those ghost stories.
Oh yeah, they're pretty spooky.
All right. Yeah, so... And then you guys play another round and you clean him out of another 25 credits.
So that's how much total?
You're up 75 at this point.
Yeah!
All right. We went with Cryptus, Rima, Passenger, and Jin. I think you guys are still together, correct? What is the next thing you're doing?
Well, if we were done looking at the various items to be inspected, I probably... that whole conversation you had with Cryptus was all text, right? I wouldn't have been privy to any of that. I probably would have excused myself to return to engineering.
Actually, Passenger, I just checked. Find my friend, find my crew, and looks like Rima's up in the galley. So kind of still want to go check out the other half of that ship. How do you feel about going EVA?
Let's go.
We head back to the airline. Oh, I stow my PCU, and I tell Passenger, delete the cache memory on that holo projector.
I do that.
Done. No check involved.
Captain.
What's up?
This is, of course, your ship. I would never seek to disrupt that. But you really should tell us before you leave the ship.
I told Rima.
What if something happened? We would have been none the wiser.
Something did happen, but you became wise to it. Don't you worry, Passenger. I'm going to keep you in all the loops that you need to be kept in. I know you don't like to be in the loops that you don't want to be in.
Well, I definitively want to be in that loop. If the captain is off the ship, we should probably know.
All right, Passenger. I hear you. I'm going to move you into that.
Cryptus is
None of
no.
this make any logical sense.
All right, I have something to say. So it's 10 o'clock. I think we started the stream at 8:45, so we're going to 10:45. Do I have that timing correctly, or are we
I'm good to 10:30.
till 10:30? Okay, cool. We've got 30 minutes left. All right, so Captain Jin, passenger, you guys go to the airlock. Captain Jin, you put your EVA suit on, and passenger, I assume you just tether up.
I just tether up.
I
open the door
open
and
all crew only comms. Hey, passenger and I are heading back over to that wreckage. We're gonna check out the calcified section. Shouldn't take us too long at all.
all right.
Captain. Was that so hard?
Oh no, it was very easy.
He just George Jetsons off towards the other side of the wreckage.
I kind of just I'm pretty comfortable in the space environment. I've gone out a few times. I'd like to think that I make sure the tether is cinched on, and I kind of peek out into the void of space and look at my destination and just give a little kick of momentum and just sort of Mary Poppins my way over.
So you're trying to just kick your way. You're trying to just eyeball it towards another vessel. I would like for you to make check. Which one should it be? Engineering, tuning, life science, mysticism, physical science check for me. Are you trained in it?
I am.
All right, make the check.
It's an 18 plus 6.
Well,
24.
if anybody can eyeball it, it's an android. So you just
Just kind of
right on over.
and I head right over.
You both arrive at this wrecked part of the ship. It's kind of rotating slightly, very, very, very slowly. And you look down and it's just pure darkness until you light a lamp. And you see compartments, those big screens again. And at the very back, you see what looks like glass in a big tube. A tube of like a large, like 6 feet long, several feet wide, and it looks frozen over.
Captain, did y'all see this on your first expedition out?
No, we went to the other half of the ship, looked to be the cockpit. That's where we got the black box from. Didn't see any bodies or anything either.
I'll start using the surrounding like metal infrastructure of the interior of this ship and just start kind of pulling myself closer to where we're going as I float through this derelict. When we get closer, can I investigate? Is that a skill?
I don't think that's I don't think that's a skill, but you can definitely use the perception. I think investigate is a profession skill. I think.
Are there any computers?
Rima's the only one with that.
Are there any computers near this?
Very old ones. They look less like computers that you're familiar with, and they look like more analog, less digital, more like the levers will do stuff. And like if you were to open up a panel and you can actually visibly see the switches in the wall type ancient
So
computer.
like if we were to look at like a vacuum tube audio system today.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay. Very, very different. You said it's like frosted over?
Yep.
I want to just check and see if this is frost that I can sort of wipe away.
It is. You wipe it away, and you can kind of peer inside this big tube, and what you see is it what looks like a really bug-like creature, like just big eyes that are just like glazed over. It all looks petrified, like exoskeleton has been petrified, sitting in there for so long, frozen. Like you can see little bits of like ice dripping off of it, and it looks like the best way to say it in your head, and you're like, "Whoa, that's kind of a wrong thing to say to myself," but it looks like a feral Chirin. Like if you see all these like jagged edges and like blades coming off of its arms, and like extra, like instead of mandibles where a Shuren would have mandibles, like there's mandibles there, but there's also like this jaw with like teeth.
Captain, come take a look at this.
What? That's unlike any Sheeran I've ever met. What are we looking at, passenger?
I'm not sure.
this-
It looks like. Can I make an engineering check or something to just see if there's any reserve power that's maybe that could potentially be activated?
You may.
Let me see if I can get some energy to some of these old computer systems and.
While he's doing that, I want to make a culture check about the Sheeran to see if I can make any sense of this from what I know about them.
Oof. 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 It's a 11.
You know that you need to get power to this, and you know you can, but you did not bring anything strong enough to power a small ship. Like you have the batteries on your PCU and your EVA vessel, but you probably wouldn't want to start messing with that in case you might turn it off, especially with the EVA suit.
Let me see here. Well, Captain, I can't tell if he's frozen by the vast cold of space or if he's in some sort of cryostasis without being able to get power to the ship. I don't have any means of powering it as it sits here. A large enough battery, or perhaps if we connected our ship's power to it, we'd be able to, but I don't recommend that. Not really.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that either. We don't know what kind of circuitry, electrician words that this ship uses.
Not the ship's engineer.
I got a 24 on the culture check about Sheeran.
So because you're kind of fascinated, and the Shuren you've met in your time, the Shuren used to be a part of a hive mind, and Shuren nowadays they love individuality because they've evolved to not need that Gestalt consciousness anymore. But they do always note that they came from a older, more violent race called the Swarm. And some of the old photos from artist renderings of this, it's kind of like writing up. It's kind of like looking at what a Neanderthal is. You've never actually seen one. There's no photos of it, but there's artist renderings of it. This kind of looks like that.
So he's having that thought, and in the back of his mind, he's like, "Yeah, I agree with passenger. I don't want to connect my ship to this ship." And then he pulls up his PCU and he starts flipping through his social media pictures to a Sheeran crew that he had sailed with many years back. And he's flipping through. He finds the profile. He's flipping through their photos to where they did a portrait and they drew a picture of the Swarm. And he. Passenger, we're getting off the ship. Back to the ship.
I suppose I could mention, you would also know, Jin, that Cryptus worships Hylax, and the Sheerans, the modern Sheerans, also are very strong worshippers of Hylax.
Yep. Yeah. We're heading back to the ship. We're going to be moving away from this wreckage.
You guys head back to the ship.
At your order.
Hightail it out of there.
And I assume you would relay that information?
Once we get back to the ship.
Got it.
I think this will want to hear this too.
Understood. Well, I pull my way back on the tether, like Rima had done earlier.
All right. While they're heading back, Cryptus, I want to check in with you. Anything you need to do? Want to do?
So the only thing Cryptus did, it didn't take that long, but when Rima mentioned ghosts when talking to Wretch, Cryptus felt like something in the air, like a chill up his spine. He went back to his room, got his reaction cannon, and just put it on his back, just in case, He went back to engineering.
He has his reaction cannon. All right. Rima, you're up 100. You lost one hand, but you've made it up.
So that's total?
Yeah.
No?
Yep.
You're hustling him?
Fuck yeah.
Our client.
What do you say? One more round?
Yeah, absolutely. You still got enough money to play?
Oh yeah, yeah. And he uses his PCU to put in another 50 this time.
So you got any jobs lined up after this one?
No. I'm hoping that this one gets me the prestige I need to get the next job.
And you guys play the hand, and Rima, I need you to make a perception check for me.
That was a nat 1, so it's a 7.
Nat 1. Well,
Seven
he
total.
handily. How much did you ante in this?
50.
50. Well, he handily wins that hand, and he takes the 50. So now you're only up 50, and he is actually up 50. Or yeah, he's breaking even now. So, yeah. Passenger and Captain Jin arrive on the ship, and the airlock closes. And you hear a little announcement over the ship. It's like a woman's voice. Airlock has now closed.
Hey guys, we're back.
Find anything interesting?
Yeah. Cryptus, take a break. Meet us in ops.
The captain's tone makes me like just pat my cannon on my back. Just say it's still there. Okay.
You check to make sure it's loaded. Okay, yeah, it's loaded.
I thunk down towards where the captain is.
In ops, I'm gonna have a screen pulled up with the picture of the cryotube through the part the passenger wiped off next to my acquaintance's like painting or whatever, and they'll be side by side. And as Cryptus comes in, I'll be like, "Yeah, I think I know where that ship came from. Looks like that is a swarm ship."
What did you say your roll was for that again? It wasn't it like above 25?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really high roll. You would know that when the Shirin talked about how the ships were made for the swarm, or like how they think they were made, they were grown, not made. Just FYI, the ship you found was not grown. It was definitely built.
Oh, okay. In that case, I'll say, okay, I'm not sure where the ship is, and I think a priority should be to translate the words on the side, figure out what data is on that disk. But the life form in that pod, I believe, was part of the swarm.
And this is one of the rare times that you see Cryptus kind of his jaded cynicism seems to go away. And he seems a little shell-shocked looking at the picture. And he gets on his knees, and you hear in his Nachaki language some what you would guess are prayers to Hylax. Yeah, the mandibles are going. But he finally says it, Captain, is it dead?
Well, that's we don't know that. Passenger.
Well,
Scanned for life signs earlier.
when we did our scan earlier, we didn't see any biosignatures, if I recall correctly, and the excuse me, the deposits came back as calcified, which to me would indicate that there has been a petrification sort of a process that has happened, but hard to say for sure. I've trained in life sciences. Would I know if there is anything about this insectoid-like carapace that would be of calcium buildup, or would I be pretty confident that it's petrification, you think?
you would be pretty confident that, you know Shuren. They're not calcified and hardened like that. I mean, they still have an exoskeleton, obviously, but
Right. That's the one.
this
That's what I'm
one, this
wondering
one's
about.
probably just petrified from who knows how long of sitting in there.
Captain, I think it's pretty safe to say that it's dead. It's who knows how long this ship has been here, and its calcified remains tend to indicate petrification.
Captain, this is important to the Shirins, to my faith, to have such an example, a prehistoric example. The Shirins don't know where their homeworld is, Captain. You know this. They've lost touch. I know from your perspective that it maybe is a money thing, but I think we should. And Crypt is like halfway out the room. You can tell he's going to get his EVA suit. I'll go get it, Captain.
Take a power tether. Passenger, see if you can isolate any sort of energy bank anywhere on the ship so that there's a feedback or something like that. It doesn't blow us up. See if you can give restore power to the tube first, and make sure if there's absolutely no danger, and passenger, I'll leave that up to you, you can bring it aboard.
So to make sure I'm understanding correctly, you want us to provide power from the ship?
Safely.
Naturally.
Like you said that if you had power and you could connect to some of those computers, that you might know more about why it's in that pod.
How far away are we from the derelict?
It didn't take you very long to jump off the ship and get to the derelict.
Right, but would we have a sort of tether or a cable that we could attach that would transfer power? Do we have an extension cable?
You asked that out loud, and Cryptus knows yes. The answer is yes.
And would we be in range?
Just like, I'm grabbing it.
Okay. Well, I will accompany Cryptus then. Cryptus
bounces back to Captain Jin, still like he's half in the EVA suit, and he just drops his reaction cannon in your arms. If it gets up, shoot us. And then runs back.
Passenger's reaction. Us?
Okay.
All right. So you guys head to the airlock. You hear the little announcement. Airlock has opened.
And Cryptus is distinctly tethered. Like, double check his tethered, everything. Because he's a beefy boy.
Yep.
I'm gonna head up to the galley.
You head up to the galley and you see Rima playing poker with Wretch. Rima, can I have another perception check, please?
Sure thing.
Ooh, as I walk in, can I make a perception check?
Yeah, go ahead. If you can beat a 25, because he's rolling like great right now.
10.
You don't beat him. He takes another 50 from you.
This fucker cheating. Is that why you're making me make perception checks?
Says the psionic.
You can do a sense motive if you're now that you're suspecting. You can sense motive. All right, so you walk up and you see. What'd you get?
24.
24. All right, since you're using sense motive, since player suspected cheating, you definitely think he's cheating at this point. And he's like, and now you're down 50 total at this point. And he's just laughing like, "Oh man, I thought you had this. I thought you were so good at poker. So it turns out you just have that beginner's luck, huh?" And then he turns and he sees Captain Jin and he goes, "Oh, hey Captain, how you doing?"
How's it going? Oh, poker. Oh, I wouldn't play against Rima. She's a real good. Seems like she always knows what you're trying to do.
Well, she had me at first, but I think I've managed to turn it around.
Good to hear. I got a cup of coffee.
All right, Cryptus passenger. You guys get to the derelict ship.
Cryptus, the pod is at the end of this hallway here. I would look around for something that it looks like I could splice. I'm assuming the old technology and our newer technology is going to struggle a little bit, so I'll find some area where it looks like I could safely tap into an energy grid. Do you want me to make
You do. Yeah, go ahead and make an engineering check.
Cryptus,
And
can
can
you
I
help me
assist
with
him?
this?
Yeah, you can assist. You can add a +2 to the roll.
And passenger, you notice this is like one of the only times you've seen Cryptus seem giddy.
Let's see. I think for this one, I would also probably have brought my engine. Let's see here. So just so it's +2.
You
on
definitely
the-
would have brought tools. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had them from working on the engine, so you can use mine too.
I was gonna say, does the tools give a bonus, or do they give advantage? I don't remember what the tools do. That's my fault. I'm so sorry.
I assumed it was just for flavor at this point. I didn't know
They
they
let
did
us
an extra.
do the checks, I think.
Oh, do
Yeah, I think they just let you do it.
they? Okay. So. Ooh, it's a 19 or a 16? It is a 16. So 16 plus 6.
You spend some time looking.
Oh, 16
like
plus 8,
kinda-
excuse me.
Wow. Okay, so you spend a little bit of time looking for wires, and you find some wires, and you cut them, and then you strip them, and then you are able to tie them into your cable. And you get it, make sure it doesn't have any feedback or anything like that, and you have a little device on your PCU that you can use to gauge the power. You start off slow, and then you start powering it up, and as you do that,
What I would have wanted to do is I would have, because circuit, energy is going to flow in a path, right? So I would want to try and make it so that it would only power the first terminal on its circuit. I don't want to power the whole ship. I just want to try and get the first terminal, and I want to access that terminal's cached data, because I'm assuming if I'm not bringing up the whole ship, I'm probably not going to get everything. But I want to see what was going on in this very first terminal.
well, as soon as you start, there's a little spark, and you don't hear anything, but you feel it in your, I assume you've grounded your feet at this point, or whatever you're using to hold yourself to the ship. You feel a little tiny vibrations as the switchboards in the old computer start moving. A little screen does pop up, and it's completely black, and those runes in white lettering pop up.
Would I speak Common, Galorian, and Android? Do I recognize any of this?
No.
Okay.
I'm guessing my Nachaki also doesn't recognize it.
Not at all.
But other than a little spark and the brief hum of it coming to life, I'm not seeing any signs of explosive reaction.
Nope.
I'll
As far as you can tell, this vessel has no chemical reaction thruster.
Okay. Then yeah, we'll go ahead and start slowly bringing the power up to other parts of the ship.
All right, you start powering up other little computers, and you notice that there's a little fan and a little vent that goes. Other terminals turn on, and same thing, little blinking screen, white lettering. Don't recognize it. The power on the tube does turn on. A little light shines on the creature.
And Cryptus will get real close to him. He'll just kind of looking around, investigating. Yep. Does he seem dead to me?
Make a medicine check. Life science. He's not moving. That's what Cryptus knows.
I am untrained in both, and both need training to do.
Yeah, he's not moving. That's what you know.
So before I do anything else, I want to connect. I want to connect my PCU and just start downloading any bit of information that might be on it. Whether I can understand it or not, I want to initiate a download. I want all the info off of this system's data core.
Okay. Since it's such an old computer, your using your hacking tool, and I will not even require a check because the difficulty was overcoming just old code as opposed to like trying to overcome a security system. So you do get that eventually, because it's very, very little to download, but it is, immense amount of information as far as like, what is this? Is this location? Is this that? It's small amount, but very vital amount. Does that make sense?
Do we see anything looking around that is like maybe a pattern? Like you know how if you were on a ship, you might see the name listed in a few areas. Do we see anything that looks like, oh, this is a map and it says the name of the ship on it?
Make a perception check.
Sure.
I'll lower the DC because you thought of something specific. So you might find it.
Cryptus, look around with me and see if you see anything that looks like a map for the ship. Let's see. You said perception?
Yep.
That's a 15 total.
15 total. Above the creature, you see what looks like a small point with lines coming out of it, comparable to like a very, very rudimentary, very old star map that would be made from a single planet if you only had one planet to make your star map from. And a worm-like creature next to it, and then some lettering underneath it.
So I'll take a note of that. Having no clue what it means, I'll just be like, that looks important.
And do you point it out to Cryptus too?
Of course, yeah. Cryptus, look, praise the sun.
Cryptus just takes you at face value. He's like, sun worship? That's odd.
Lysander.
So I look to see how stuck the body is in this pod. Like, is he melded to it in any way, or could he be easily removed?
He could be easily removed. I mean, you kind of put pressure on it. It's old. It's probably degraded in quality. You could probably just break the glass and pull him out, but he only looks like he's strapped in.
How big is the pod itself?
About as big as you.
Passenger, why don't we just take the whole pod? Just
That was
skip
kind of my thoughts as well. Do we probably have? I know we have a cutter in the workshop.
I had it on me. I was using it for something earlier.
Perfect.
Passenger's not even worried.
So, you guys go to cut it out, and you realize the pod is actually bolted, and you can just unscrew it. You pick it up, and there's no weight, so you don't have to worry about that. And you guys can take it back to the ship if that's what you want to do.
Yep. Eagerly. Take
It
it
will
back
not.
to the ship.
It will not fit through the airlock, so you will have to take it through the cargo bay, and meaning you'll have to vent the cargo bay.
Well, everything's tied down, and I just tied back down something else.
I open a
Captain,
comm. Why is there a pending request to vent the forward cargo bay?
We are putting important cargo into the cargo bay. Everything's tied down in there, Captain. It's perfectly safe as long as the Yosoki and Rima aren't in it.
Was the wine in the ventral or the aft cargo bay?
Wine, as per my understanding, was
Or
in
tequila.
It was in the. Oh, that's right. You do have a ventral cargo bay. My understanding is that it was in the aft, but you do have the ventral cargo bay to use.
All right, I'll vent. I look around the room and I physically, like, the old pilot training of physically look at every person on the ship so you're not venting anyone into space. And I see Ratch, I see Rima, and then I start initiating the protocol to, like, close the airtight doors and
This is the cargo bay with nothing in it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. and vent the ventral cargo bay. And once it's vented, I'll...
And you guys go to the bottom of the ship. You have to detether, otherwise you have this tether going around your ship. Place it down, and then the bottom of the ship loads back up, and then you repressurize, and you have brought this thing onto your ship.
Why did
And
you have
Rima,
to call it a
Rima
thing?
immediately gets a real. Oh, go ahead, Justin.
No, I was making a
That-
joke.
Rima, you get a text from Cryptus that come down now to the cargo bay. I need you. And you've never heard Cryptus say that before. Rather,
Oh,
because you're
Reg,
deaf,
oh,
you've never seen him write that before.
Reg, I'm gonna have to stop here. It was a fun game. Maybe next time we can, play without cheating.
He like gets shocked and looks like his eyes go wide.
I'm not saying like
I figured you were cheating. Yeah, that's why I was losing at first. And then he collects his cards, and you notice he drops 2 aces of the same suit, and he picks them both up really fast, and he tucks them away.
where are my cards?
I was gonna say,
Where did he get these cards?
he runs down and goes to the room. Thanks, your cards.
I go find Cryptus.
And so I know we have to close. So I just want to get my request out real quick. Cryptus puts all 4 hands on like Rima's shoulders, and he's like, "Tell me there's a ghost. There needs to be a ghost. Tell me, talk to it."
And we'll stop right there. Tell me there's a ghost. That's a good ending quote. I like that.
Who goes? Thanks, guys.
That's also a great title for this episode. Tell me
They'll
there's a ghost.
play poker with each other.
Oh, Tell Me There's a Ghost is a great title idea. How do we feel about Tell Me There's a Ghost for a title name, everybody?